Hi guys, this is a Planet Healer inviting you to yet another episode of We the People. Today we have Miss Nivvedita Jain. She's the founder of Living Pink. So thank you so much for coming, Nivvedita. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. This is a very different name, Living Pink. So can you explain what this means and why pink?
So when my journey with sustainability started, my first question was, why am I not doing it? Why is it the fact that, I'm educated enough? Why am I not being or following sustainable practices? And that's where I realized that until that time or even now, a lot of us speak of sustainability just as a moral thing to do. Right? Like it's the right thing to do or it's the wrong thing to do. And you should do the green thing. You should not do this. You should not use plastic. Which made me realize that because it's such a moral thing, we end up not doing it. We think that there's no benefit in being sustainable or being green. It's too moral. So I wanted to shift the narrative because I personally believe in the fact that if you're sustainable, if you're following any form of a sustainable practice or mindful practice, you are just living a way better life. And I wanted to translate that. So pink in the Oxford Dictionary actually means the best condition or degree. So when you're living pink, you are living the best form of your life, and the best form of your life can only be a sustainable life. So that's the story behind pink.
That's quite cool because I would have thought you would name your organization something like Living Green or like something around green because you want to support sustainability and all of that. But when I saw a couple of your social media posts after that where you spoke about exactly what you said right now, I realized that it makes a lot of sense because usually we associate as misogynist as it sounds. Pink is a very different. You have a very different connotation when you think of pink and a very different world you imagine when you think of pink. So that was quite a nice, you gave it a lot of thought, I'm assuming, when you thought of this name. So if you tell me a bit about yourself, like what have you studied? How did you come to sustainability? Why did you suddenly decide to start this?
So I come from, my academic background was in economics during my undergrad. And in my final year, by the way, I give a lot of gratitude to my mentor in my final year of undergraduation who helped me figure out my attachment or ikigai maybe to mindfulness. And because I was working on my final year thesis and we were deciding on a topic for me, and he told me, just tell me what you care about and what you enjoy doing. And from that 3-minute conversation, professor told me, why don't you go back home and read about mindful consumption? And that's really when my journey started with sustainability. So I studied what is the correlation between mindfulness and consumption, mindfulness as a lifestyle and mindful consumption, and how businesses and marketing tactics actually play a role in it. So marketing and creativity was another space where my interests lied. And that's when I figured that, okay, this niche or this intersection of marketing, mindful consumption is what I want to, dive in further. That's when I went forward to do my master's in marketing and creativity from ESCP London. And I chose that course because we had a 6-month-long focus on managing social impact and understanding sustainability marketing, where I also focused on sustainability marketing in my master's thesis as well. But when I came back to India, of course, there was this huge gap of what I studied and what was needed in the country and what businesses and professionals needed. So I couldn't really contribute with my skills for sustainable businesses to push mindful consumption. We still need it, and to some extent, we still presently, as an economy, need a lot of push for general purchasing for GDP growth. That is one side of the argument, and I really did fall for it because my profession and my career growth needed it. So basically, I was working for marketing and branding strategy for after I got done with my master's. But sometime last year, I realized that okay, I'm doing this professionally in my career, working on marketing and branding and brand experiences. But I constantly, as a person, have been following a sustainable lifestyle ever since I had that realization in my undergrad. So why don't I finally make that switch? So hence that brought me to stop working with businesses that need me to market their product or their service for mindless consumption. And that's when I decided to start off with Living Pink, and everything that I was doing at a personal level to actually translate it into a business level, because I also saw the opportunity slowly growing in the country for something like this.
So what you're talking about is quite idealistic, I feel, because as a company, suppose I'm making a product, my focus is to sell that product, right? So I to incur, like to get revenue, to pay my employees, to whatever. So just to make sure that my business works, I have to sell my product. So if I have to be sustainable and tell people that no, you buy this product only when you need it, then can I run a business?
So that's not the only side of the argument. That's where marketing lies, right? Sustainability, or having like you in the first place need a product that is as sustainable as it can be. So as a marketer, you can only focus on you can only drive the consumption needs of the people, right? That's the power of a marketer, right? So which is why I did not comment on what the product should be like. Of course, I cannot change. I can't like go like wake up tomorrow and ask all businesses to stop producing anything that is harming the economy. In fact, every small thing that we do is going to create an environment footprint. It is going to create a social footprint. We can't stop that. But coming back to your question about will the company then stop selling their product? No, they will not stop selling their product. I think what is needed when it comes to marketing and propagating mindful consumption is what tactics or what heuristics or what nudges are you using to sell your product? To what extent are you asking your consumers or your potential consumers to buy a product mindlessly? I think that is what needs to stop.
But then the food industry will stop working. I mean, most of the people purchase food or Swiggy something because because of some kind of an impulse. It's more of an impulse buying. Even when it comes to shopping, you end up buying
everything
a lot
is a want and not a need.
Yeah, and again, so most of the companies are working because there is this impulse for consumers to buy. So if a marketer of say H&M or Zara or say Swiggy stops creating that impulse for food, that every time I see puchka, when I see cheese or when I see pizza, I want to buy it, will they have a job? I mean, this is the demand of their profession, to create this need so that people consume mindlessly, because the company functions on mindlessly. So I'm not hungry right now, but if you place a pizza right now in front of me, I'll want to eat it.
That's okay.
Yeah, but that's what Swiggy is doing. I don't need a pizza right now at all for the next 5 hours.
Yes.
But because Swiggy will have these social media posts about cheese and about pizza and about Friday and all of that, that you'll want to go to Swiggy and just buy a pizza. But that's how Swiggy is working, because it's so convenient. It delivers in 20 minutes or whatever.
So now what is important to remember here is that consumption, as I said earlier, consumption is just one part of the story, right? It's just one small but powerful and influential part of the entire story, right? And when it comes to why not promote or push products that are actually probably contributing in a more mindful way to the entire environmental and social chain. Now, okay, let's use the example of food and fashion, since you mentioned these two products. So, when we are talking about mindful consumption, it is about who I am, or and what is my state of being influenced. So mindful marketing, there are a lot of lot of stakeholders in this entire mechanism, right? consumption is one part of the process, and consumers and sellers and marketers and producers, these are all different stakeholders of the entire mechanism. Now, a marketer will probably do their job of of promoting mindless consumption, which is okay. But then, and you can't change that, okay? You can change that for a lot of businesses, a lot of products, but let's assume that that's not going to change, right? But a consumer, like someone like me or you, we do have the power to not fall for that Swiggy ad.
Yeah, but if more and more people become like you and me,
Yes.
then Swiggy will not be Swiggy. Because
that's okay. Why is that wrong? Why is it wrong for a Swiggy to not be a Swiggy? You'll find
it's
you'll
giving
find an
employment
alternative.
to thousands of people.
But what
it's
tells
adding
you,
to the economy.
What tells you that because Swiggy will not be Swiggy tomorrow, it will lose its employees, or it will have to cut? Whenever there's change in an economy, or whenever there's evolution, whenever there needs adaptation.
Yeah.
Right?
See, what I feel with, like, say, food, since we're talking about that, I feel personally that consumption, when it comes to these things, will not change, because 60-70% of the people, 60-70% of companies work because people consume mindlessly. But I think, like, for example, say Swiggy or whatever, these delivery apps, how they can change consumer behavior or influence them is that when I eat that food item, that pizza or sandwich, I make sure that the box reaches the right person. Or
but
as a Swiggy,
again,
I can be like, if I can give a biodegradable box instead of a plastic
what I'm
box.
saying. So now you have shifted from consumption to the other side of the entire mechanism. Until now, your question was about consumption, which is what I said. Like, you know, in the consumption user touch point, it's only the consumer and that advertisement that are playing the role. But that's what I have been saying, that the story doesn't end there. There are a lot more stakeholders, which you correctly said, from packaging. And that's where mindfulness plays a role. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is when you are
mindfulness in the should be from the company side, not from the consumer side.
From everyone's side. I highly disagree. I feel like when you we as consumers have a lot of power to influence what a company should be doing. And we can't sit and wait for the company to come up with sustainable packaging. What can you do in that scenario? If you do not have an option of it's okay, you gotta accept that. But when you do have an option, why not choose a more mindful method of consumption? And that's where we consumers play that role, I feel, and that should never be discounted.
So how do you think Living Pink will help in changing or bringing about mindfulness?
So mindfulness, okay, so Living Pink, we also have a trust, which a non-profit trust. Just our main goal is to help influence behavioral change. And behavioral change is very, very hard to change, right? It's something that I think all of us are trying to do. Whoever is in this industry is somewhere trying to influence behavioral change. And it's a very slow process. It's a very challenging process, but it is what is needed to achieve mindfulness. Now, what are we doing to achieve that is to constantly hold these offline activities or workshops where we use human psychology to make people remember or understand certain experiences or feel certain feelings during that workshop, which they can take back home. And instead of us telling them in that 45-minute or 1-hour workshop that, hey, you should not use plastic, hey, you should, stop buying this, or, stop wasting that, we rather craft an experience which, activates certain feelings and certain emotions and certain memories in their mind, and certain tactical experiences that when they go back home, or when it's the end of the workshop, they realize that, okay, yes, sustainable lifestyles are actually better for us. And for example, there was this one workshop that we did, which was about, which started with a short meditation, where we helped people reconnect with nature. And we ended it with a plant potting session for themselves. And we told them that, here's the soil, here are a set of seeds, here is a pot, do it yourself. No gloves, no equipment, just use the soil, put the seed that you like, and take this paper, write a wish of yours, write a goal, and plant it with that pot. So that when you go back home, not only are you planting your pot, you are actually giving water to that wish that you have planted in the pot with you. In nowhere in that 1 hour session did we tell them that, hey, you should stop, you should care about the environment, you should stop using plastic. But 80% of the people who attended that workshop either texted back to us or at the end of the workshop told us that they now just naturally feel more connected and feel more mindful about the environment, and they themselves said that we are going to start doing these things to ensure that we're making a positive or a minimal impact. So those are the kind of things that we are doing on a community and events offline level. Simultaneously, we provide services to for companies and organizations, particularly talking about this behavioral change need. So one of our service caters to what practices, like doing an audit for how your company functions, and using such nudge tactics across a period of months to make your employees, to make your premises, to make your systems, just the way you function, more sustainable. And we help achieve measurable impact through it. And we, again, like this is always a mix of some activities, some nudge tactics, some using psychology, human psychology, again, to make sure that probably 3 months down the line, anyone who is in that premises is being more mindful of their environmental or social impact.
Do you think that the impact of such workshops or, stays for 3 months? Don't you think people need constant reminders and constant nudging? And,
yes, they do.
And how do you do that?
So, you can come back to our platform if you really, felt as connected. We offer that. And luckily, the entire, so many more businesses and organizations around us offer that ecosystem now, which is what we strongly believe in collaboration, and we strongly believe that if some other organization is also, working towards what I am working with, it helps. Why not? It helps my target consumer. And so, I understand that it is very hard for someone who experienced something today to keep following it for 6 months. But think about the diet plans you take up. Think about the gym membership that you took up. Think about any change that you're trying to make in your life. How hard is it for anyone to make any behavioral change in their life?
Yeah, definitely. But my question is that, how do you plan to go back to them? After 6 months, once they've forgotten about sustainability and everything, whatever wish they made and all of that. So how do you remind them again that, you have to go back to the gym or you need to start dieting again?
So we are not offering a subscription plan like a gym, right? So
yeah, of course.
It's not that we will send them a message again that, hey, we are again doing that workshop. Also, it is normal to and it's okay to accept that it's highly unlikely for someone to go again for a similar workshop. Why? They went for that experience once, they may not come again, and that's okay. Our primary goal is to make that initial impact for them to have that large experience and that impactful experience at the get-go, which almost always makes them either follow us or stay connected to us, or we've had moments when people get in touch with us, the same people get in touch with us for other needs of how they can be more sustainable. For example, someone asked me, one of our workshop attendees asked me a month and a half later that hey, do you know where can I have these old pieces of clothing, I have these old bags, what can I do about it? She didn't know whether I follow, I have a service for it or not, anything at all. It's okay, but she came ahead and asked me about do you know what can I do with this? Because I like, our workshop made that initial impact for her. And she followed us on Instagram, and she would get all our updates about our blogs and articles. So she knew that, okay, if it's this topic, they'll help me figure it out. So we help you do that. Like, you can come get in touch with us for anything, like on an individual level or on a corporate level, on an office level, anything that if you want to understand how you can start practicing a more sustainable lifestyle, we're here to help you. We're here to connect you with the right individuals, maybe, because that's the goal, that's the larger goal, not just to retain a client.
For sure. So I remember initially when we had spoken, when you were still formulating Living Pink, I remember you were talking about making this platform where it, like, people can connect with each other. So suppose I have a few phones. So I go to your platform, I know where I can dispose them. I want to like do something about my plastic waste. So I know where to go and I can go to your platform and find the concerned person, recycler, collector, whatever. Where are you at right now with that plan? Because that is a plan that people really need, because a lot of people want to do a lot of things, but the initial, the time that they take to find out the correct person makes them lose interest. Because suppose I want to plant trees, but by the time I find each one, plant one, and I'm like, okay, chodo yaar, baad mein karenge, I don't want to do this.
It's very hard for
so
people.
If I have a place where I can know exactly what's happening in the city, what initiatives are being taken, are happening, who is recycling what, who is collecting what, I know that, I can just visit this website and I'll have my answer. Especially when it's to do with sustainability at large. I haven't heard you talk about this.
So maybe, I feel like maybe there's some gap, because the plan was never to create a platform. Like, we never wanted to create a platform that was not part of the business model, or neither part of, like, the for the value proposition that we wish to offer for people. The plan is to be a channelizer from the trust end, like for Living Pink Trust, for the non-profit end. And that's what we have been doing consistently. As I said, that, if someone wants to achieve anything to do with sustainability, they get in touch with us, and if we can offer it, if we can help them achieve it, we do that. Or if we have to connect them to the right individual, we do that. And when it comes to particularly waste, and I'm saying this because there are a lot of different kinds of needs that people have. Like, for example, sometimes, there'll be an individual who owns a facility where events happen. So for them, it's that, how do I make sure that every event that I do is sustainable? So for them, just connecting them to a recycler does not do the job. That's where we create a holistic plan for them, and we tell them that, these are the places where you are inefficient with regards to sustainability. And we categorize them across either the 17 SDGs or E, S, and G. It's dependent on who is reaching out to us. And let's say once we've audited that and we have proposed that, okay, these are the ways that you can become more sustainable. And let's say one of those ways is waste management. As you know, like, we are not recyclers. That's where we will get in touch with someone like Hulladek or someone who is into paper recycling and connect the two individuals. And if we don't need to, and again, another thing we help ensure is that, let's say this person who has come to us and one of the solutions that we have offered is waste management, then it is again highly unlikely that that person wants to connect themselves to a recycler, because they've already many agents se baat kar liya, now you figure it out, right? So that's where we are channelizers. So we don't really say that, we are recycling it for you. We don't really say that. We say that, we have this network of people who we know can help us achieve your goals. And hence, just coming to Living Pink is enough. We will help you get, and it helps the entire ecosystem. Because that's what references are about. That's what, connecting and achieving goals are about.
So we've spoken too much about community-driven stuff that you are doing. How can you help corporates become more sustainable? What is your plan of action for corporates?
Right. So the need to drive sustainability for community is very different to what businesses need. Of course, you can't again go to a business and tell them that, oh, it's the best thing to be sustainable. No one's gonna, do all of that. Again, for them, it's more about regulations, more about financial benefit, more about programs that they can run that are not creating a dent on their company, but rather actually benefiting them. And also what, like, some companies need to care about only the bare minimum that needs to be done and not going any over and above other than the product that they need to sell. So what we help to do is provide ESG reporting and ESG transformation of organizations. So corporates, like, say your whatever business that you are, now SEBI has mandated doing ESG reporting for the top 1,000 firms and following a certain framework. So that becomes a bare minimum that corporates now need to offer for their compliance needs as well as for their consumers. So that's what we do. We offer ESG reporting. We offer ESG transformation, which can help, like, let's say a company doesn't fall under that 1,000 company mark, and they don't need an ESG report for anything, but sustainability can still be of benefit to them, being sustainable in some way can still be of benefit to them. Then we help them analyze that how, like, what program can they introduce in their organization maybe to achieve sustainability, or how can they look at their supply chain maybe to become more sustainable, or so that's the ESG transformation, which also includes communicating about your ESG efforts that you are taking.
So tell me more about ESG. What is ESG? Why is it important? Why is it important for corporates to follow ESG?
So I feel like ESG, a lot of people get very intimidated about the
that's
term
true,
ESG, right? And but actually, it's just another way of speaking about sustainability. Like, sustainability is one term which is also intimidating for a lot of people. They feel like, oh, sustainability, and like either they get confused कि अच्छा खाली sustainability मतलब recycling, or they are like कि I don't know what is sustainability, मतलब ये तो बहुत ही कुछ future fancy कोई चीज है, पता नहीं तुम क्या करती हो. And but I feel ESG is just, like, not I feel, it is just another way of speaking of sustainability. It is just a framework. So E stands for environmental, S stands for social, and G stands for governance. So when you, like, a lot of people now know of the SDGs, like the 17 SDGs by the UN. United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. What is it? That is also a breakdown of what sustainability should include. So ESG is also just a breakdown of what sustainability should include. A breakdown more suitable for corporates. That is what is ESG. So when you categorize sustainability efforts for a business within environmental, social, and governance, which is usually done for businesses and corporates, that is what is ESG.
Okay. So also, so you're young, you're a female entrepreneur. What challenges do you face when you're approaching corporates or talking to them? Do they take you seriously?
So that's a standard problem in India. I think even globally it is a standard problem that you're a woman and you are young, and now it's further because you're trying to approach a corporate who probably bring in like years of experience and probably have, for the lack of a better phrase, they probably have grey hair and you don't. And so that's a set of challenges. Plus, the bigger challenge is the industry we're in.
Yeah, that's
you're in an industry which is anyway trying to challenge existing opinions, and uske upar se we bring in all these other tags with us, right? So definitely, like, there are moments when when I'm in a meeting or like in a networking session, and of course it is very evident, like at the get-go, that the person has come with an impression about me because they tags. Yes. Then let me just hear her out. But luckily, I think your knowledge your confidence and the amount of information and determination that you have for what you're doing can influence that person's opinion about you or even about the subject often within a span of 15 minutes. And usually that happens.
So I've seen, I totally agree with what you just said, but I've seen that after those 15 minutes that the person, usually a man, is more impressed than respectful. He wasn't expecting
That's a good
something
way of
like
putting
that.
it.
So he's impressed कि अच्छा इसको पता है. Oh, she's young and okay, she's a woman. Let the woman part go. That I don't think is that prevalent anymore. But she's young, so ठीक है, she knows her subject or whatever. But respect comes much later, after working with them for some time, after they've seen you work or whatever. After a couple of months, I've personally experienced that the respect comes after that. But after the first 15 minutes, they are more impressed.
Yes.
Ki chalo, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, but at
One
least
step at a time. You very well
actually
categorize the two. Like, there's a separate thing as respect and there's a separate thing as being impressed about something. And again, those things are very easily visible. When someone is just impressed and, and they probably want to talk to you more, but not actually about business, maybe sometimes, and then some maybe over a couple of meetings, and as you keep seeing them over similar events, or, as they keep seeing the work that you're doing, then they slowly develop respect. But okay, one at a time. I'm a strong believer of that. Like, whether it is change, whether what I am building, you're building, our entire vision that we are all looking for and working towards, everything will happen one at a time, and that includes this.
So how is ESG reporting done?
So there are existing frameworks for ESG reporting. There are global frameworks. India also, SEBI recently approved a framework for sustainability. It was a general business reporting framework earlier, but now they've included sustainability related aspects, which now the top 1,000 companies need to follow. So apart from that, there is the GRI framework, and there are more frameworks internationally. But basically, if you, like whichever industry you come from, there will be a certain framework almost always that you would be more, that would be more relevant for you to follow. And it includes all these aspects within sustainability, which are usually environmental, social and governance related factors that you will have to measure and report. So of course, like a lot of, there is a process of actually setting up a system for internal constant measuring of those aspects across the year, and then putting it down into that report for compliance. And the report includes factors like, the pay of the people in the organization, usually the human rights and the, the laws that the organization follows, and what amount of waste that is being generated, what are they doing about that waste, what is the male to female ratio, what is their source of power, are they dependent on fossil fuel or solar power, and so on. So there are all of these factors that an organization needs to collect and report. And as I said, it varies from industry to industry. So if you speak of hospitality, so while an ITC will have to report its ESG impact, it will also have to, go about the LEED certification, which is to do with their buildings, and the factors of assessment, while some are different from the ESG framework that India asks you to follow, but some of them are the same. So they kind of overlap in some ways, but because the LEED certification is also about the way your building is, so it includes stuff like the materials that you are using and so on.
Okay. So since you've been doing this for the past 1 year now, almost, I think more, what do you think? Have you been able to influence your social circle? How have you influenced your social circle? Are they becoming more sustainable? Are your friends becoming more sustainable?
So as I said, my journey with sustainability started in 2018 or 2019. And so I've been following it since then. So my friends have been hearing me blabber about these things for like 4-5 years now. So yes, they have been way more conscious. I can for sure say that, some of my closest friends and my family has been more conscious about what they purchase, especially with regards to clothing, because that's the most mindless purchasing that happens. Now when we go out and we're taking we're in a cafe or in a restaurant, and someone gives a straw to them, they may not know why they are not supposed to use a straw. They may not know like stats or anything behind it, but who cares about that till the time they remembered that no, I don't want that straw, no, I don't want those extra tissue papers, I'll carry my own bag, I'll bring my own cup. So these small things they have started following. Maybe not every time, again, it's okay, but like they remember it. And they try to follow it. Yeah.
What do you think, like people our age, to how willing will they be to make their careers on sustainability? Is it still something that people will want to do? People probably leaving college now, or maybe switching industry.
So until now, I've Living Pink has had a lot of young professionals who work with us. So it's not been 1 year since we've been functioning, though. Like we started in October 2022. So since then we've had interns, we've had volunteers, we've had some student ambassadors, and full-time associates have been there, and they are still there. And most of these guys have either just graduated from their undergrad, or the volunteers and the interns are still in college, and some have come to us with a couple of years of experience. Now when it comes to the people who've just graduated, or they are still in the middle of college, they usually don't know what can be done, what are the professions in this industry. And actually, sorry to call this a separate industry, it's not a separate industry. It is something that should be part of every industry. It is like sustainability is part of every industry. And but yes, there's not a lot of awareness about what can be the careers that are intersected
opportunities,
with opportunities. And that was the same case with me. As I said, that there was almost nothing for me either, while I was willingly looking for work within this segment a couple of years ago. But yeah, I could create my own opportunity within it, luckily. But yeah, there's a lot of lack of awareness about what can be done if you care about sustainability and have a certain set of skill sets that can contribute to growth of sustainability in your country. But I think the only way to go about it, what I ensure to do, is I try to tell these guys that it's the most secure job that you can have in the upcoming years. If you are in any way, you may not be directly working for sustainability, but indirectly in the coming years, you are expected to, have knowledge about sustainability, keep it as a decision-making factor within, even if you're working on finance-related stuff, whether you're working on legal-related stuff, whether you are in marketing, whichever department you're in, you need to know what's happening with regards to sustainability in your country, in your industry. So you can't do without it, and it's the most secure job that you can have if you are still in college and you're thinking of what your career should be. It can't not have sustainability in it.
Thank you so much, Nivvedita, for joining us. I think it was great chatting with you. So we'll see you again with our new next episode. Until then, bye-bye.